Philosophers talk to our times. Today Aristotle wants to have a little word. Now, it is all interesting. It always is. I showed very clearly that there were 6 ways you could understand the way power gets constituted in what passes for a state, but it works in any large corporation. The first is, of course, the monarch. This appeals to everybody's good sense. A good, decisive mind, choosing which course to follow. And yet monarchs can easily turn, forget that their duty lies with the people, and think their duty lies with power, and become tyrants. And so they get replaced by aristocrats, by that group of people who are the most virtuous, who have the most to say about the state, who govern then for the state's interest, and so for everyone's interest. And yet all too easily, for there is nothing stopping it. These aristocrats confuse themselves with the powers that they wield, fall in love with those powers, desire power itself, and so become, step by step, oligarchs, demanding their power as a natural right, and occluding the wealth and privilege of everyone else. Or again, when these are replaced, they're replaced by polities that take the basic idea of a cabinet of government, a government by the best, but put it in the context of people and the rights of people to be representative. They become then a mixed constitution, a polity, I have called it, where all have their role and their say. But finally, such polities can be disturbed by demagogues who will whip up the people so that they demand that their freedom, which was always what appealed in such states, that their freedom then was an absolute right, that they could say what and when they liked. And so stirred up, they destroy the power that actually makes the state and replaces it with little better than anarchy. This, then, is the basic framework in which one has to understand power. After my time, but working on what I have said, of course, became the idea of a mixed constitution, that if you could somehow lock these powers all together, they might all jealously watch themselves. I see in your time you call it a president, a house of a Congress or Parliament, and the voting people, all locked together then. And yet, such high optimism that this would somehow form the greater republic than the one that I've seen is clearly misplaced. Your time alone shows that. Look at your greatest country, your richest anyway. Here is a country where the 3 organs of state are clearly working to enforce each other's worst side, seeking then to unpick the state in their own quest for power. I think I shall start with the oligarchs. Those who once had a vision for a new future that was open and bright and centered on a humanity that could reform itself, have forgotten that dream in their quest for wealth, in their quest for easy power. Demand then their monopolies are respected. Demand then that they take your time and your money, irrespective now of whether it is for your good or not. They have become creatures then of greed. But to mask that, they have to move in both directions. Now, I have started with the oligarchs, but note, I could have started with the monarch, or I could have started with the people. But it is always, I find, best to start in the middle of things. And so the oligarchs then whip up, or allow to be whipped up, or use their platforms to whip up the people into a veritable babel howl of fury, demanding their freedom. And by their freedom, they simply mean whatever rights that takes their fancy, or rather whatever rights is put inside their minds by the powerful and the rich, those that can buy influence. It's happened before. It was common in my time. Are you telling me it is not common in yours? Do not be so naive. I saw democracies come and go. I saw Alexander himself live. Rule as virtue, fall into tyranny and die. And are you no different? In the name, then, of your freedom of speech, you create a babel howl that is whipped up by oligarchs for their own purposes. I mean, for their own power. Men who have no scruple, who do not care. And what you can say about your monarch? But your monarchs are either castrated so that they could do no other than follow the oligarchs, or become the worst sort of tyrants, popinjays of power, vain and glorious golden technocrats, it would be technocrats, actually idiocrats, who use their very inability to understand the world that they are part of, the world that they are partly unleashing, to ground their own security, for they would deny that anyone could understand it. They would demand that no one should understand it, and to create then a new kind of state, an idiocracy, where only the idiots can rule, for only they can self-blind themselves so much to the realities of such power. The mixed constitution, then, is replaced by the very darkest of states, where the bad and the evil in each form of government reinforces one to the other. And the problem, of course, you face is how to unpick this. The normal route, where one form follows the other, is now not open, for all forms lie together. And unless we can dream in some sort of polity that I hear beyond comprehension, some new way to grasp the power, I fear there is no end to the dark path you have opened in the 6 types of government that I once held. I wish I had better words for you, but I do not. In all that I have known, I do not see a redemption. Good luck.